Hi, and welcome to another Rigging Basics. This one should be pretty quick. We're just going to be doing some joint mirroring or bone mirroring so that one side can accept the animation from the other side in a way that is equivalent. So you don't have to do retargeting for one side of the body to the other. That's just ridiculous. Okay, so that's our main criteria, and it'll come with a couple of caveats. So let's get to it. So I've created already a scene with a plane, and this is just purely for visualization, so we understand what we're talking about here. The x-axis is where we're actually going to be mirroring, which means there's a mirror. Let's try to imagine a plane like this that lies on the x and y axis of the world. So that little axis there is the equivalent to the one that it's in Maya by default for the world display. But I made it bigger here so we can see it a little bit more clearly. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to first build a small rig. And I thought something that could be interesting is like a Wile E. Coyote kind of thing, sort of. It'll be inspired on this. So this is the kind of thing we're going to build, but we're going to make it so that it can mirror. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the joint tool. You should be able to find that under the rigging shelf as well. Not just my special bacon strip one. I'll get into what bacon strip is in another date. But right now we're just trying to keep it to the bare bones basics. So I'm just going to do this kind of thing. And it's just to get like an idea of what it would be. It's like kind of like it's almost a spring thing. Oop. So let me just grab this one. I always do that. Anyways, so the other thing that I'm going to do for this chain of joints, right? So this would be where the fist is. So I'm going to just make that really big, so we understand that that's the part that punches, and then these things will extend. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do a shift and press that little plus sign there, and it will show me all the joints. And I'm going to grab all of them except for the very last one, and I'm going to make sure that I can see the local rotation axis, right? So I can see what's pointing in what direction. And if you don't have the the local rotation axis by now, you can just go into display, transform display local rotation axis, and if you press Control and Shift when you press that button, it will add it to whatever shelf you currently have. And I suggest you start making your own shelf with things that help you along the way. Okay, so according to our rules of rigging, the thing that I don't like about this already is that everything's pointing up on Y, which means that is going to be the axis in which we're going to be rotating, right? So that's bad. So we need to fix that. So I'm just going to grab this all the way to here. And I'm going to go make sure I'm in the rigging section of Maya because you have multiple modes. And I'm going to go to skeleton, and we're going to be going over all of these in another video very soon because we're going to need a number of things from this section. But I'm going to go to the orient joint one, and I'm going to make sure I bring out the options. And this is the first time we're going to be seeing this, but we've already spoken about this quite a bit in the other videos. Hopefully, you have watched the other rigging basics. So basically, what we need to do here is, yes, the x-axis needs to point to the next node. So if you look at this this bone here, this joint here, it has an x-axis that points to its child node, and each joint always does that. So that's fine. That's what Maya refers to as a primary axis. Now, the secondary axis is the one we want to animate on, and that's always going to be Z. And the way we control this is by saying, relative to the world, where does a Z point? So in this case, because it's flat on the ground, we want it to point in the world, we want it to point upwards. So it's already set up for us. It's almost as if this is like the default for Maya, and we're going to just press apply, and you'll see that all the axes have been fixed, right? So now that we're starting to use joints, we're going to see some of these useful tools. And for now, we're going to say this is good enough, all right? But the only thing that we need to do now is bring this up and maybe align it so that it's not so. So it's going to be like two arms, one pointing that way, the other one pointing that way. and we need a root node. So for now, I'm just gonna create a Maya locator. You can just go and create a locator, but I have special versions of locators, and that's going to be my root node. So I'm just going to grab this and uh, press P as in parent, and now this is child of this. So just to verify that in the outliner, we definitely will make sure that we don't see shapes to confuse us. So we have a locator that is the root node. We could rename it, but right now this is just a test. And we have all of these joints. And they have proper Z rotations, and the X rotation points in the correct direction. And then we have the fist at the end. So that's cool. So now what we want to do is be able to create a mirror of that. Now, Maya has a tool for that. Once again, we're in rigging. So go to skeleton, mirror joints. That's the other one. We're always going to bring the options out. Never do this blindly. Now, mine's already preset for naming conventions so that it can rename the ones that it's going to create on the mirror axis. You can just ignore that. That's not important. What's important are the first two sections here. Mirror across. So that's basically where the mirror exists. And we talked about this already. So this big mirror here, it's whenever the easiest way to remember is if you want to if you want to mirror across the x-axis, it means that pick the one that doesn't have the x in it. That's how it's defined. It's like it's the z and the y-axis that you're going to want to use as a point of reference. Like you can mirror any way you want, so you have to give it a point of reference. So relative to the world, it would be the y and z axis that would create this window like this one. And we're going to use the behavior function. Now, orientation function, for whatever reason, this tool has not been updated in a long time, and I think they just forgot about this because it's really broken. It doesn't even mirror even in translation correctly. So we're just going to ignore orientation, but just know that orientation is probably what you did when we did the sushi rig without knowing how to mirror things, and that was on purpose. I wanted you to think about how to do the sushi rig and how to just using our rules. How would you put it on both sides of the body? And that's okay if it's not the one that was in the reference file, which was the Unreal Mannequin. So we're just going to jump straight to behavior, and I'm going to press. You got to select something first. So I'm going to just say create an equivalent of that. That is a mirror, and make sure that it's in behavior. So before looking at the actual axes or axes, I'm going to just test to see if this has the behavior that I'm looking for. So if I rotate, I multi-select multiple joints like this, and select that one, you see that it is behaving the way I would expect it to behave when I mirror things. Now, the other added bonus here, and this is an important bonus, is that by doing it this way, the animation is compatible for both sides, and that was our key thing that we wanted. So now we're going to look at what happened to the axis. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to look at the first bone that we have here. Now, the first thing you're going to probably notice is that the x-axis is actually not pointing towards its child; it's pointing away from the child. So already that's different. But the rules are still applying. We're still using the x-axis to either look at or completely look away from the child. The z-axis, this one's pointing this way and that one's pointing that way. That's not what I expected as a mirror, right? That's what orientation is. Like if you were expecting the z to point up and be like an actual mirror, like so this z would point in that direction as a mirror implies. Yeah, that makes sense, and it's still following our rules. But the thing is, though, if you do that with all three of them, you end up with a left-hand rule, or basically a scaled version, because one axis, it's not going to be following the right-hand rule, which means it's going to cause you some trouble already right there. We need to make sure we follow the right order, and that it's consistent for both. With this method, you're probably starting to see the pattern here. Basically, imagine what this would be mirrored, and then flip it in the opposite direction. That's basically what it is in the end. That's all you really need to know. It's the same rules, but flipped, and not from the mirror perspective, but from the axis where it would point. So this Y points in this direction, you'd imagine it would point in that direction. But in fact, it's pointing in the opposite direction. That's the mystery solved. So that's exactly what it's doing. And by doing that, you're making it so that this axis, remember, are positive and negative. So let's say I go into the z-axis and I go into I add I'm going in the positive direction here, right? Because of our, if we do the right hand or the screwdriver approach, we know that going in this direction is positive, and we can see that the value is getting more positive. Whereas if I go this way, it'll be negative. Over here, if I do the same thing, you're going to notice that it's exactly the same thing but mirrored. So the positive and negative values correspond with the mirrored behavior of it. So this is great news for us. That means that we can easily create a mirror that is compatible with animation, and we're not breaking our rules. We're just continuing the concept, just with a new, I guess you could say, with a new flip or a new idea. Okay, I won't go into terrible puns. Like, we're basically, what we're doing here is we're following our rules, even on the other side, but we're adding the new thing, which is you just flip the direction that you would imagine that a mirror would be, and then that's it. That's all you had to do. So when you're creating the other side of the body, you can use this tool, for example, to create the joints. Now here's the thing, and this is a bit of a controversial perspective, but um, contrary to what they tell you from Autodesk, when you get Maya, it doesn't have everything out of the box. So right now, this is great for creating bones, but like, let's say I just did this, like I've already done a bit of it, but let's say I did this kind of thing, and now I want to, like, I made some adjustments, and this is better now. I don't know why, but anyways, this is better, and now I want to have the same thing on the other side. Well, all this tool is going to do is create new bones, not actually adjust the ones that are already there. So the issue with these kind of tools, there's going to be a lot of these, like, dead ends that we're going to be hitting. But I can show you maybe a way of doing it. So let's say I select this, and I'm going to do what's called a slalom selection, going back and forth. So I select that node, which is the first one here, and then I select the first one on the second chain, and I keep doing that. And you'll understand why, because I have my own tools that allow me to fix these kind of problems. So without creating new joints, we don't care about the little ball at the end. So over here, like most of my tools, I usually have like a category, and then you right click and you have all the tools. In this case, you have a mirror behavior slalom. Boop, there you go. It's modified the bones to do that. And unfortunately, Maya doesn't have anything out of the box. So the controversial part of what I'm saying here is, like most studios, like whenever they make the claim that every big studio uses Maya for animation, first of all, that's false, because we know that Pixar and DreamWorks have their own internal stuff. I mean, just look up Presto. Okay, for Pixar, Pixar has been using Presto for a while now. They developed it. There's a lot of good reasons why they did it. They're not using Maya for that kind of stuff, but they still have it in the pipeline. It's not like they don't have Maya in the pipeline. And most big studios have anything you want in the pipeline, right? As long as it connects to the main one, to the important one, that's all that matters. Same thing with, like, for you as a student, think of Maya as a good starting point, but over the years, you will start to accumulate tools and things that will help you get the job done. So for this this little video, I'm going to include a link that will give you the mirror behavior slalom button. Now it's using PyML, so hopefully you fixed your issue with the newest versions of Maya that don't come with PyML installed for some reason. I have no idea why Autodesk no longer supports it in an install, but anyways, it's still supported. Anyways, so I'll give you that button, and it's a good idea to start collecting these tools as we go and filling up Maya for the things that it's missing. Like there is no software that is the best there is. They all are missing things. They all have their issues. This is definitely one of the ones for Maya, and I will be providing as many of these as I can as we go. For the next one, where we're talking about zeroing out objects, I have a couple tools that should help us quite a bit. So for now, the only one that we really need for mirroring is that one there, in case you need to readjust things and so on. So that it actually turned out to be a little longer than I expected, but just know that this video should get you sorted out for anything mirroring. And yeah, from here on, we may need to add a golden rule that for mirroring we just do exactly the same thing we did on the other side, but we just have to flip the direction in which the axis needs to point. And there are tools for doing that in just about every like there's some softwares that don't even have that tool, and you just have to make that one too. So anyhow, so enjoy the free little script. I'm sure it's in. I hope it's the link is still valid, and you should be able to just create. If you don't know how to make a button, it's very simple. You go to this little gear over here. You go shelf editor, and in the section that you're in, whichever one that you're doing, you go over here, you add a button, and you just drop the script that I'm going to supply. We're going to go into that in more detail. But that's a very Maya specific thing. Know that this mirroring thing is also a universal standard across all softwares because of the way Gimbal works. It's a fundamental thing. So even though we're doing it in Maya and we're building tools to help us with Maya, it doesn't mean that this won't work in other softwares. Quite the contrary, it's everywhere in every software. This is a universal. All right, I think that we're going to wrap it up for this one.